Hello and welcome to my channel. I thought today we'd do a littlemachineshop.com 16-inch bed extension on a Harbor Freight 7x10 mini lathe, complete in 20 minutes. If you'd like to follow along with a complete set of instructions, you can download that from littlemachineshop.com or from my website, glennnow.com. You can go to the description of this video and find a link for either one of those websites. Now, let's get into this. The Harbor Freight 7x10 mini lathe. I'm going to be doing the 16-inch bed upgrade. Let's get into that. Okay, we're going to try and stay with these teardown instructions. It says right here, teardown, follow this procedure to disassemble the lathe. Well, the first three things: unplug, I already have it unplugged. Remove the tailstock, I've already taken the tailstock off. With it being so small, I very seldom kept the tailstock on the bed. Remove the rear splash guard. That was always in my way. I took that off. Okay, number 4, remove the gear, the change gear cover. We need a M4 hex wrench. And these are the 2 socket head cap screws that they're talking about. This is off. All right, next is the electrical. Detach, but do not disconnect the control box. There are 4 Phillips head machine screws, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to take a picture. My memory isn't as good as it used to be, and even the way it used to be was never that good. Okay, it really doesn't matter how you mark the wires, as long as you know how they were marked and you made either a drawing or took a picture. Okay, next they're telling you to remove the other 2 ground wires. Okay, then they tell you to remove this black protector. Okay, before you can take that motor off, you have to take this guard off. It's on the back of the machine, and it looks like it's just these 2 screws. There could be more, and it looks like it's just the 2 screws. Okay, what they tell you next is to remove this gear, this pillow block that holds the lead screw, and then take the apron off. I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to take that pillow block off, disconnect the half nut, and just take the whole carriage right off the end. On some machines, on this end, there's a small stud that stops this carriage from coming all the way off. You'll have to remove that too. Let's see if this is going to work. A 5mm hex wrench. I've got those 2 screws off, and the pillow block is off. and see if I can just disconnect that and just walk this right off the end. Okay, what they want you to do is take this off of here, just one, and pull that lead screw out. Probably best to take this off like they tell you. There's a bushing in there too, and a small key. Finish removing this pillow block. And the lead screw comes out. Before I take that motor off, I'm going to remove this gear housing. There's two screws, one here and one right here. A 5mm hex wrench should take that off. I've kind of deviated from the way they told me to do it. Okay, 17mm. Need that, don't lose that, that's for the change gears. Okay, now we're going to remove these motor mount screws and get this motor off of here. I think I'm ready for the motor, but before I do that, you need to take this belt off. I'm just going to slide it off this way. It's a 10mm. Not sure if these are the two, but they all have to come off anyway. Well, here's the motor. Okay, what do they tell you next? It's the headstock and miscellaneous. Okay, to remove the headstock, you need a 6mm hex wrench. There's two screws here and one on the back of the lathe. Let's do that. Socket head cap screws. There's 3 of them, like I said. One. Oh, get this back one. 2. According to the instructions, we are finished taking this thing apart. Although it does talk about removing the rack, the feet, the tray. I'm not going to use any of that, so I don't need to go any further. Upgrading your mini lathe, the reassembly. After reading the instructions, they suggest the next thing to do is mount this rack. I'm going to place the pin in here, and they say 1 3/4 inches. I'm using gauge blocks. You certainly don't need to do that. You could probably do it with a scale. Okay, here we go. Now I need to tap that M3 by 0.5. Hopefully I get through this. Whew. Okay. I only have 4 screws. They give you 1, and there was only 3 holding the smaller rack on. So I'll just put the 2 end ones in. Okay, it's on there. Okay, what's next? According to the instructions, what they want you to do is just take that whole carriage, like when you took it off of your smaller machine. Just loosen the gib plates and slide the whole carriage on there. Turn the whole machine or the bed upside down, hanging off the table. I don't agree with just turning it upside down, hanging off the table, so you can move the carriage up and back while you adjust the gib plate tensioning screws. I'm going to loosen this a little bit. It's nice. It's tight, but I'm sure it's going to wear in. I put the apron back on and kept it loose because the next thing we have to do is mount this lead screw. The next thing the instructions tell you to do is to mount the lead screw. Place the carriage in the middle, approximate middle. Open your half nuts and put your lead screw through here. This is all going to be approximate for a while because we're going to be moving this up and back multiple times. Lock the half nut. We're going to make sure that this pillow block is right up against the edge of the machine, and we could tighten these down. We're going to be moving this a lot. You know, I'm pretty satisfied with where these pillow blocks are. So all the way to the left, this one seems to, it engages and disengages the half nut pretty nice. What I'm going to do is mark those holes. I have to move those clamps and do the same thing to the top holes. Now I'm going to remove the pillow blocks and drill my tap holes. Drill and tap those positions and mount the lead screw. Screws are in, but they are not tight because I have to go up and back with the carriage again to make sure that the pillow blocks are in the proper place. What we're going to do next is drill and tap for the change gear stud. Scribe a line off of this surface. I scribed on the inside of this slot, as you can see, and I scribed a line 9/16 from the end of the bed. That's how my last machine was, 9/16. I measured to find the center point of all of that. I'm going to drill through. Looks like it's right in the middle of the lines I scribed. Let's see if I can do this. Right. Let's see what happens when I put the bracket on here. All right. All right. What's next? And according to the instructions, the next thing is mounting the head. We take two of the existing socket head cap screws that we took out, and we use those in the front. The back, they give you a hex head bolt that you have to put in. Next, the motor. We have a new motor mount. According to the instructions, they want you to take these two mounting screws out that used to be in here, mount this new motor bracket using the two 6mm flathead screws. There's a short end and a long end of this swivel rod. They want the long end on the side with the shaft. There are two dog point screws, a M10 by 1.5, that these swivel on. They go in on each side. Put those on both sides. They give you a M6 hex head screw. There's also a nut that comes with it. Screw the nuts all the way onto the screws. And an M5 hex head screw. Take the M5, and screw it all the way in there. Next, this is a real tight fit. First, place the wires through the hole they provide. The plug. I need to put these wires through that little hole above the motor. This hole that the motor wires come through. There we go. When you have the dog point set screws in the right position, the belt will run true right in the middle of the pulley. They provide you with two hex nuts that you put on the dog points and tighten them down so they don't move. Okay, I adjusted the belt tension with the M5 and the M6 hex bolts they provided and tightened the nuts down. I marked my one set of black and white wires with a tag. The other black and white wires I did not mark at all, and I documented that. And this is the motor ground, and it goes over here. This is from the plug, the power. This is the other ground. And there's one more thing that has to go on here, and that is the wire protector that goes over lead screw so it doesn't rub on it. All right, finally. And make sure this nylon gear and the spindle gear here aren't meshing too tight or too loose. I just pulled it straight up. All right, I think I'll put this key into the keyway. And then I believe this spacer goes on here. The change gear bracket. Then this here gear. That's all hooked up. I went ahead and put the gear cover on. I put the tailstock on, and I put the compound slide back on, and that will complete the reassembly of the 16-inch bed extension. So let's wrap this video up, and until next time, enjoy.